Hello there, my name is Bo and welcome to Bo Beats, and in today's video we are checking out the Pocket Operator 33, the KO. So this is the PO-33 KO from Teenage Engineering. It's a sampler, 4 voices, and it has 40 seconds of sample memory. In today's review I'm going to talk about what this device is, I'm going to show you how you sample using it, we're going to make a beat using it, and I'll give my opinion on if this is a good little sampler and compare it to some of the other Pocket Operators. Now the KO has 8 sample slots for melodic samples as well as 8 sample slots for drum and percussive samples. Now these are a little bit tricky because each sample slot is sliced up into 16 slices. So on a melodic sample slot, each of the 16 buttons here represent different pitches. And on the 8 drum or sliced sample slots, each of the 16 buttons represent a slice. You can sample into it using the microphone and the line input. It sports an effects section which lets you impact the pattern you're playing with, and we're going to check that out later as well. Other options for changing up the sound is volume, you got tuning, you have a filter with, you can switch between high pass and a low pass, it has resonance on it as well, and you can also trim the samples, both the melodic and the sliced up drum samples, and we'll take a look at that later as well. Hello. You can live record into it, you can step record into it, and for automating the parameters you can do that live, just tweak and record, and you can do parameter locking per step as well. All in all there are 16 patterns, the patterns are 16 steps, but you can chain them together for really long arrangements. So sampling on the Pocket Operator 33 is pretty straightforward. You have your 16 sound slot divided by the melodic and the drums. And yeah, let's go and sample into the melodic here. So I got my little bass station here. So to sample into the Pocket Operator we hold down record and one of the 16 buttons. Now 1 through 8 for melodic samples and 5 through 16 for the sort of percussion, the sliced up samples that is. So for a single note we'll just go for 1 to 8. And as you will note, you do need to use 2 hands here, so we'll record and one of the buttons, and let's sample. So there we go. Let's change to another sound here, and yeah, I'm going to see if I can find one that I made on the Bass Station 2 in order to sample it. And one thing that's good to know is that when you enable record and a sound slot, it does wait for a signal. So there's a threshold that the sound needs to pass in order to get recorded. That makes it a little bit easier, but of course using the 2-finger grip here can be a little bit annoying for certain sampling situations. Now for the drum or sliced sample slots here, I'm going to try and record a couple of sounds here from the Bass Station 2 in order to show you what happens. I'll just record a few sounds. So let's see here. So there we go. A couple of sounds recorded. Now let's see what it sounds like. So now what we can do is we can actually trim the sample. And if you look really closely here, you can see the different slice parts here. And quite obviously I didn't catch the sample perfectly, but by pressing the FX button multiple times you can go from, well, it starts with I think tone, which is volume and pitch, and you have the filter, and then you have the try, which is basically a trim setting. So you can go into each slot here, each of the 16 slots on this particular sound. So on the melodic sounds, each of the 16s, when you select the sound by holding sound and select the sound, each of these 16 represent a pitch. But in the slice mode, each of the 16 represents a slice. Now let's make a little beat here using the sounds I created. So we'll start with this kick drum here and enable record. So what I did here was also to live record into it by pressing play and holding down the record button and then just playing whatever I wanted. And let's try and use the filter here as well. Add some more heavy drums here. Now that we got a little groove here, I'll just want to duplicate this. So I press right, pattern, 1 to 2. So now we should have a second pattern, but 2 active patterns. And we can do the same again. So right plus pattern. You can chain these together very easily. Just hold pattern, press 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we should cycle through them. Let's play in a little melody here. Let's see if we can live record something more over it. And we can live record some pitch changes to some of the drums here. Now if we try and add too much, you'll be hearing the voice stealing, for example like this. Now what we can of course do on this beat as well is use the effects section. Now we have a loop running here, 8 patterns. So that's pretty much how you build a beat on this little thing. With the way the FX works, you can almost push 16 steps into a song. So let me show you. FX, you can turn 16 steps into so much more, and of course you can chain the patterns together to form longer songs as well. So last in this video I just want to do a little quick comparison between a couple of different pocket operators. So here we have the sample, and I want to compare it to these ones that I have over here. So let me just go through them. KO is pretty much the most standard of the pocket operators. Because you can sample stuff into it, you can make pretty much any type of music on it. However, it doesn't really have that crazy effect section. It doesn't really have so many different crazy options for changing up the sound on the unit itself. So it kind of lives and dies with what you sample into it. So very useful, but maybe not as creative and crazy as something like the Tonic, the PO-33, which is a little bit more crazy. You can change up the sound more with the effect section. You can do some pretty crazy stuff because it's a synth. Basically, it's not a sampler, but of course you can't really make the kind of standard stuff on it either, like you can on the KO. So that's something to consider. And then of course we have the Speak. The Speak is a sampler as well. You can use the mic input or line input, and it's kind of similar to the KO as well. However, it has vocal synthesis on it. So it's definitely something you can use to change up sounds, and you don't have to just record vocals into it. You can record other stuff synths as well and just apply the effects, which does give it a little bit more of a, how do you say, a little bit more functionality in the sense that you can change up the sound more than you can on the KO. But it's also more limited when it comes to creating a full track. It has just the one drum track that you can use. I think it's just one note polyphony. So it's kind of a trade-off. So it's more simple in one way, what you can do in terms of layering sounds and creating a full beat on it. However, the vocal synthesis is really fun, and it's really fun to apply it to other sounds as well, not just vocals. And then we have the PO-20. The PO-20 is one of those more specialized pocket operators that I've reviewed as well in a different video. And it's a lot of fun. This is more if you like the kind of 8-bit sound. If you don't really enjoy the sound of it, the kind of lo-fi sound, there's no use getting it because you can't change out the sounds. That's a big difference with the new lineup, is that you can change out the sounds in different ways. But this one, you're stuck with what you got. But it does have two features which I think are really cool. Firstly, you can sequence pitch changes. So you can have just one pattern playing and dial in different chord progressions, basically. So that'll change every time the pattern is played, which is really cool. It also has a little drone type pad sound that you can use, as well as sidechaining it to the beat, which is really cool as well. So yeah, I like the PO-20. The sound is what it is, but it's a lot of fun playing with. So this was my little review on the PO-33 KO. I'm probably going to do a review on the Speak as well further down the line, so yeah, stay tuned for that. And if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. You should subscribe to the channel if you like the synth videos and the music production video stuff. And if you want to support further, help keeping the channel alive, helping me devote all the time to this, you should head over to patreon.com/bowbeats. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a pleasant day. Now go and make some music, and I'll talk to you later.